In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
I want some pizza, I'm just in the mood. So I check the website, real good foods. But I'm trying to eat healthy, trust. No flour, it's 11-inch cauliflower crust. Low carb, high fat, and plenty protein. Grain and gluten-free, everything that you need. Made in 4 flavors, ooh-wee. Uncured pepperoni, margarita, veggie, or cheese. If low carb pizza is what you want, you need to check realgoodfoods.com. Taste is amazing, oh yeah, it's the bomb. You need to check realgoodfoods.com. Free shipping online and in Kroger stores across the U.S. realgoodfoods.com. Woo!
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. If you want to engage live in the content, hop on over to JimmyRants.com. You'll see that we start the show on Instagram Live here, Facebook Live there, so go follow me at Living Low Carb Man. Pretty much all over the internet, I'm Living Low Carb Man. Back in the day, I was like, who am I? I'm Living Low Carb Man. I'm the Low Carb Man, Living Low Carb. See? So that's how that came up. So LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content here on Instagram, here on Facebook. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay on Instagram for up to 24 hours. Here on Facebook, it stays here on Facebook. But regardless, if you happen to miss any of the past episodes, hop on over to YouTube. You'll see that we have all the past episodes in archived form on YouTube. So go follow me there. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You can also go to youtube.com/LivingLowCarbMan. That's LIVINLOWCARBMAN. We also have a Jimmy Rants podcast. We're almost at 100 episodes of the podcast now. So hop over to Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. You can type in a keyword, Jimmy Moore, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. And we have audio versions with like a little slow groove music in the background if you kind of like listening rather than looking at a mug on a camera. So that's the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is all about what's happening this time of year. So we are in early April. The sun is starting to shine a little bit brighter than it did during the winter, especially if you live kind of in warmer climate areas of this time of the year. You probably have already mowed your grass or mowed the weeds in my case. I've actually done that twice already. I just went today and bought a whole bunch of fresh mulch to put into kind of the various little garden, flower garden type things in front of my property. Also got some vegetables that we're going to plant in the ground. So spring fever has arrived, and so many of us are looking at all of those weeds in our yard and going, man, we need to kill those things. Let's go buy some weed killer. And people do this, and they've done this for many years, and they haven't even really thought about what is in products like RoundUp. And we've all used RoundUp for many years. But there's only one problem with RoundUp. Well, there's a lot of problems with RoundUp, but there's a major problem with RoundUp. It has been linked and tied to cancer. And there have now been 2 jury verdicts, which we're going to talk about in a story I have here today. 2 jury verdicts against Monsanto, the company that makes RoundUp, in the tens of millions of dollars, you guys. And a lot of people, they don't know about this. They're buying RoundUp still, not knowing about the ill effects that come from using products like RoundUp. And it's just easy to spray this spray. It smells a little funky, and so people are, oh, okay, well, that's just the stuff they use to kill the weeds, not knowing that that's getting inside of their bodies and wreaking havoc. And I remember talking to this lady named Stephanie Seneff, S-E-N-E-F-F. Definitely go look her up on YouTube, you guys. She was the one that first put it on my radar screen. Oh my gosh, what's it been? 6-7 years ago. All these people using Roundup and sucking in those vapors, it's actually damaging your cholesterol as well. Go look it up, you guys. This stuff is pretty dastardly. The chemicals getting in there, mimicking the effects of cholesterol, but in the bad way, and wreaking havoc in your body. Go look up Stephanie Seneff, Seneff, lots of videos that she's done warning people all about the dangers of using Roundup. But what I want to talk about here today is, are you still using Roundup? Because this is the time of year. I'm recording this on a Saturday morning here in Spartanburg, South Carolina. It's beautiful outside. There's people going down to Lowe's and Home Depot, and they're buying gobs upon gobs upon gobs of Roundup weed killer. And I want you guys to know that in the last year alone, they have had 2 jury trials find them guilty and liable for damages. And this is all Monsanto, you guys. And I know maybe you know about Monsanto and some of the things that they're doing, but they are wreaking havoc on our health. And they don't care because it's all about the almighty dollar to them. So I'm trying to issue this warning for you guys to know exactly what's going on. And maybe you're thinking about going down to the store and buying Roundup. Maybe you're like, well, I got to kill my weed somehow. Let me go buy some Roundup. After today, I'm hoping you understand there's ramifications to using a product like that. All right, let me get into this article. Who is paying for Monsanto's crimes? We are. And they make the case in here, as you'll see, that despite there being 2 pretty major verdicts against them for health claims that were made by plaintiffs that filed lawsuit against them in the tens of millions of dollars, despite those verdicts going against Monsanto, who's going to end up paying for all of that is everybody that still buys Roundup. They're going to raise the price of Roundup, and that's how they're going to get around it. But let's read the story. A U.S. court has ordered Monsanto to pay $80 million in damages because it hid the cancer risks of using this. That's a small consolation for the victims. For the second time in less than 8 months, a U.S. jury has found that decades of scientific evidence demonstrates that there is a clear cancer connection to using Monsanto's line of top-selling Roundup herbicides, which are used widely by consumers as well as farmers. Twice now, jurors have additionally determined that the company's own internal records show that Monsanto has intentionally manipulated the public record to hide the cancer risks. That's right. Monsanto knew. Monsanto knew of the cancer risks. And I think cancer is just scratching the surface of the risks of using toxic chemicals like the ones found in Roundup. This is but just one thing. I think when you get into what it's doing to the cholesterol pathway in your body and how it can significantly harm your health, that they haven't even scratched the surface. And the fact that 2 juries already have ordered Monsanto to pay tens upon tens of millions of dollars in damages because of the cancer risks alone. Why has this not been pulled from the market? Why do they still have it out there? They don't even have warning labels that I'm aware of on this, and it's definitely not clearly marked, warning could cause cancer, like they have on cigarettes. Why? Why not? Both of the juries found punitive damages were warranted because the company covered up the cancer risks and it was egregious. So not only did were they found liable for some of the medical costs associated, but they gave them punitive damages, which means they found evidence that they purposely promoted this, knowing all of the risks. They were very well aware of all the risks that came from using Roundup. And they didn't care. Why? Money, money, money. I'm kind of tired of that. Are you guys tired of that? Where companies are choosing profitability over the health of the people buying their products? We're seeing this again and again and again. And of course, any food product that's labeled as all natural or organic, like the organic gummy bears, they know that there's no consequence to consuming an organic gummy bear. But they want to put organic on there to fool you as a consumer into thinking it's perfectly fine for you to eat. Now, that's the food end of things. This is a product that they know is carcinogenic. It's already been found twice now in a jury trial, class action lawsuit. It's already been found twice by jurors to be very risky to use. So again, if you're just joining us, are you still using RoundUp? It's a popular weed killer that's sold in stores. I was just at Lowe's. They got gobs upon gobs upon gobs of RoundUp on their store shelves. And it's the glyphosate that's in there, by the way, that starts to mess with your cholesterol pathway. And why they still have this on the shelf with all the known issues that are involved with cancer risk, all the known issues with the glyphosate and the cholesterol pathway in your body. There are health ramifications that you could eat the cleanest, most real food, most nutrient-dense ketogenic diet in the world, and it's not going to overcome the damage that comes when you use and you suck in the vapors of this RoundUp. And again, I think most Americans especially are just oblivious to this. Totally oblivious. The juries saw evidence that Monsanto had ghost-written scientific papers, tried to silence scientists. They scuttled independent government testing, and then they cozied up to the regulators to get favorable safety reviews of glyphosate. That's the active ingredient in RoundUp, and that's the one that Stephanie Seneff, again, if you joined us late, please write down the last name, Seneff. Stephanie Seneff, she's a scientist out of MIT, and she has exposed this glyphosate issue. The reason some of this evidence has come up is because of Stephanie Seneff's work. I've interviewed her a couple of times on the Livin' La Vida Low Carb show. Go find her videos on YouTube. You will have your eyes opened. And when you find out that we've known this for 7-8 years, and they're just now getting to where juries are awarding tens of millions of dollars in damages because of this glyphosate exposure and its risks with cancer and other disease, it should make you mad. And if you're still using RoundUp, please destroy, get rid of that as soon as possible. Give it to an enemy or something. I'm just kidding. Get rid of it. And then let's stop buying it. It's just not worth it to your health. Even the U.S. District Judge Vince Chabria, who oversaw the San Francisco trial that concluded on Wednesday with an $80.2 million damage award, had harsh words for Monsanto. The district judge said there were large swaths of evidence showing that the company's herbicides could cause cancer. He also said there was a great deal of evidence that Monsanto has not taken a responsible, objective approach to the safety of its product and does not particularly care whether its product is in fact giving people cancer, focusing instead on manipulating public opinion and undermining anyone who raises genuine and legitimate concerns about the issue. And this gets my brain to thinking, you guys, what other companies are squelching evidence that would show that their product is less than ideal for human consumption in the case of food, or less than ideal to your health in some way, like RoundUp is with the cancer risk and the other risks to your health? How many other companies are doing some of these same tactics? Now, this is Monsanto. They want to know why we hate Monsanto so much? Exhibit A, right here. This is the kind of stuff that should make you mad. This is the kind of, I don't even know what to call it anymore. It's propaganda to make you think that you're okay using a product like RoundUp, when at the end of the day, you could get cancer from using RoundUp. Very well known in the science. They squelched it. you could have issues with cholesterol and this glyphosate getting into the pathway of the cholesterol in your body and cause issues that could lead to disease. They squelched it. They don't want you to know about it. Monsanto's new owner, the German pharmaceutical company, of course a pharmaceutical company owns Monsanto, Bayer, yes, same one as Bayer aspirin, they assert that the juries and the judges are wrong. Well, what do you expect Monsanto to say? Monsanto is going to, we didn't know anything about any of this stuff, even though they have all the internal documents that show that they did know and that they did try to manipulate scientists and regulators. They have all the evidence in the world. Oh, we didn't know. Yeah, right. The evidence of a cancer risk is invalid, they say. The evidence of bad corporate conduct is misunderstood and out of context. So, misunderstood. Did you squelch good science from being brought out that would make your product look bad? Did you do that? You bet they did. Did you get in the back pocket of regulators by giving them incentives to make you look good? You bet they did. How are they denying this? They can't weasel out of this one. He said that the company will ultimately prevail. Well, the problem is the company is worth a lot of money. So that even with this heavy $80.2 million damage award in this latest jury trial, they would have to have that multiplied times 100, maybe 500, before it would really have a dent in their bottom line. Monsanto is a multi-tens of billions of dollar valued company. And if we want to come up against some big conglomerate like this, you got to hit them where they hurt, where they will get hurt. And where you hit them is not buying the crap anymore. And so look up Monsanto on a Google search, you guys. Just type in Monsanto products and look at all the products that they make available to consumers. Namely, this RoundUp is what we're talking about today, but they have a whole bunch of other products, you guys, that I say we boycott. I say we don't buy anymore. I say we let everybody in our friends and family and coworker network know what they're doing, that they're purposely promoting a product, RoundUp, that has known health effects. We know the cancer risks from it. We know about the glyphosate and how horrible it is. Can they not come up with another chemical besides glyphosate? Because that's the big culprit, you guys. That's the big thing that's causing people to have health problems. And the sooner that people know about the glyphosate that's in things like RoundUp and the cancer risks and the other health risks that are involved with that, they can make informed choices. It's just disgusting to me that people are oblivious to this and that basically Monsanto's going to get away with this. This jury trial verdict of $80.2 million is not going to hurt them greatly. Yes, that's a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but when you're worth tens of billions of dollars as a company, that's just a drop in the bucket. This isn't going to hurt them greatly. But if we all stop buying their products, it will. Meanwhile, Monsanto's critics are celebrating this win, counting on more as a third trial is now underway. 11,000 additional plaintiffs are all awaiting their turn. So maybe if we keep getting jury trial after jury trial after jury trial, and they keep losing and they keep getting $80 million a pop, maybe eventually this will lead to their demise. And I don't want to see a company go out of business for business sake. I'm not against capitalism. I'm not against a company making a product that they can sell and make profit from. I'm not anti-capitalism. What I'm anti is, you know, your product causes harm to people in their health, and with that knowledge, you still knowingly promote and pitch it and convolute the issue and fool people into buying your product. And they, as the consumer, trust you as a company to make sure that you're not causing them harm. But in this case, Monsanto didn't give a crap. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. They don't care about any of us. They only care about their bottom line. A growing number of communities and businesses are backing away from using these herbicides. Investors are now punishing Bayer, pushing share prices to a 7-year low as of Thursday. So they are starting to feel a bit of the pinch, but again, this is just a drop in the bucket of what their worth is. This would have to be replicated again and again and again and again and again for it to really start to hurt them hard. A financial advisor analyst named Tom Claps has now warned shareholders in Monsanto that they need to brace for a global settlement that will land somewhere with all these class action lawsuits, settlement between 2.5 and 4.5 billion dollars. So they're guesstimating that when you add up all of these cases and the damages that juries will probably end up ruling against them, that it's going to end up between 2.5 and 4.5 billion dollars. That's a lot. But again, they're worth tens of billions of dollars. Yes, it's a lot of money, but is this really going to hurt them? Is it? We don't believe Monsanto will lose all the trials, but we do believe they could lose a significant majority. So again, they're going to have about 11 to 13,000 more trials. And if they do lose the vast majority of them, and they're anywhere close to this $80 million verdict that just happened this week, that could hit them to the tune, like they said, of 2.5 to 4.5 billion. I hope that's a low estimate. I hope it ends up being 10 to 15 billion dollars, because at that point, it's going to hit them where it hurts and hit them hard. Following the recent courtroom victories, some have cheered the notion that Monsanto is finally being made to pay for alleged wrongdoing. But by selling to Bayer last summer, it sold, you guys. Monsanto sold to Bayer for $63 billion. That's how much it sold for. So all the people that squelched all of this information about the cancer risks and they've ignored people like Stephanie Seneff and what they've said about the cholesterol damage that happens from the glyphosate that's in Roundup. All of those people, they've made their money. They've gotten out clean. This is now at the lap of Bayer, who paid $63 billion, and they paid that much thinking they could make a whole lot more than that in the tens of billions of dollars. So again, 2.5 to 4.5 billion dollars isn't really that big of a deal when your company is worth probably over $100 billion. Monsanto executives were able to walk away from the legal mess and they got rich. Yep. They're all laughing at this now. They're laughing at the notion that all of these lawsuits are happening and all of the people that were culpable, you guys, in every one of these decisions to squelch the knowledge about what was happening with the cancer risks and all this, they now are scot-free. Does that make you mad? Should make you mad. The Monsanto chairman, Hugh Grant's exit package let him pocket $32 million. Wow. Amid all the uproar of the courtroom scuffles, a larger issue now looms. Monsanto's push to make the use of glyphosate herbicides so pervasive that traces are commonly found in your food. This is why we're talking about it on Jimmy Rants today. This is why it matters to you. Whether you use Roundup yourself for your home needs with the weeds in your yard or whatever, or not, this impacts you because you might be unwittingly consuming the glyphosate in the foods that you're eating. Unless you are growing your own food, you don't know. It's so pervasive that traces are found in food, even in your bodily fluid. It's just one example of how several corporate giants are creating lasting human health and environmental woes around the world. So if you drive through Iowa, for example, and those industrialized farms are using glyphosate to help control weeds that could be growing in their crops, and you're just driving through the state and you suck it into your system, you'll have glyphosate in your bodily fluid. And you've got it, whether you use Roundup or not. See how pervasive this is, you guys? And they've gotten away with it. And yeah, these jury trials are coming out, but they're getting away with it. Monsanto and its brethren have targeted farmers in particular as a critical market for their herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides. And now many farmers around the world believe they can't farm without using some kind of Roundup product. If you're a farmer, how, from like 100 years ago, how did you keep crops growing? How did you control the insect population? How did you do all of the things to grow food 100 years ago without the use of Roundup? We need to go back to those practices. And there's actually ways, and we're doing it with our own garden here on the Moore plantation. We're actually using some non-toxic types of ways to keep the bugs away. Essential oils are a really great way to do it, you guys. You can get some mint oil and spray it around the crops, and that keeps some of the bugs away. There's natural, better, healthier ways to control insects. The weeds are a pain in the butt, but you can pull them out of the ground. But we got to get away from these toxic chemicals, namely glyphosate, that's in things like Roundup. And I'm just as guilty, you guys. I've used Roundup in the past. But if you have Roundup right now, get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's just not worth having and having the temptation to use. Get rid of it. And warn your neighbors, warn your family, warn your coworkers, and tell them about these juries that have awarded huge sums of money, tens of millions of dollars, to plaintiffs that got cancer. And I think cancer is the least of the issues. It's a big one, but there's a lot of people that are having damage to their cholesterol pathways in their body because of the glyphosate. Go look it up, you guys. Regulators have allowed these corporations to combine forces, talking about Bayer and Monsanto, Dow, DuPont, and other corporate players. They're endangering wildlife, soil health, water quality, and the long-term sustainability of food production. This is why I'm talking about it here today, you guys, because it affects all of us with the food supply. Studies have shown, along with promoting illness and disease in people, they're causing all these problems I just mentioned. So since they've combined forces, that makes them even more powerful and more able to direct public policies that will favor their interests. We got to stand up. And yeah, we're the little people in this conversation. Monsanto is this huge, huge company, and combining with Bayer and combining with Dow, DuPont, and other corporate players, they're going to flex their muscle, you guys, and they're going to try to do the biggest con job on you, the consumer, to make you think there's nothing wrong with the glyphosate that's in their product like Roundup. And again, I'm talking about it this time of year because there's so many people that are going to buy herbicides and weed control products like Roundup, and they're going to be totally oblivious to the cancer risks and other risks to your health. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren called for taking back some of that power from these big corporations. She announced on Wednesday of this week a plan to break up big agribusiness business and work against the type of corporate capture of Washington that we've seen in recent years. This is a step in the right direction, but it cannot undo all of the suffering of the cancer victims. Can you imagine if it was found out that the glyphosate in Roundup was the reason why you got cancer? And yes, they award you millions of dollars, but you're dying of cancer. It's disgusting. If I was a family member of that person that got cancer because they sucked in vapors of Roundup, and then Monsanto, who knew the cancer risks associated with their product, just cashed in on the sale of these products, I don't know what I would do if that happened to my mom or my dad or family member of some sort. It's got to be a helpless feeling. This doesn't easily transform a deeply contaminated landscape to create a healthier future and unleash us from the chains of a pesticide-dependent agricultural system. Bayer may dole out a few $billion in damages, but who's really going to end up paying? We all will end up paying in the form of, this is impacting our health, this is impacting our food supply, this is impacting a lot of parts of our day-to-day life. And you might not have known about it before today. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is, are you still using Roundup? Stop. Stop. There have been 2 jury verdicts against Monsanto, and as I mentioned, thousands upon thousands of others are in the works. And the sooner that we stop giving them our money and stop supporting them in any way, we can make a dent in their bottom line if all of us get the word out sooner than later of what they are doing. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. I'm going to go to Instagram Live first. I'll be to you guys here on Facebook Live real soon. Welcome in, welcome in. Thanks for being here, you guys. The Crazy Keto Life. I'm jealous. We still have snowdrifts in spots. Yeah, that's why I said Crazy Keto Life. Here in the South, we're already starting to have sunshine and weeds and that. I realize in the North, all you guys don't get like warmer weather till maybe May, sometimes even into June. I've never used any weed killer, says Pamela. Yeah, sadly, a lot of people do. And it's because it's kind of like, because it's on the market, people think, okay, well, they wouldn't have it on the market if it was somehow harmful to you. And want to bet? Want to bet? Val says, unfortunately, I've almost always used Roundup on the poison ivy in our yard. I need to find some kind of an alternative. Yeah, I think there is a huge business opportunity for some company to come up with a non-toxic version of a lot of these same products. And if I find that company, you guys, I will let you know. If you know of any, please feel free to write it in the comments below. I would love to hear about some companies that are doing non-toxic versions of herbicides, pesticides, that kind of thing. Pamela says, follow Moms Across America on Instagram. Are they a group that's an advocacy group against Monsanto or something? I've never heard of them. Ashton says, haven't used Roundup in years. I don't like chemicals in general. Yeah, I think once you clean up your diet and you're cleaning up other parts of your lifestyle, you give up things that you know are toxic. All it takes is one smell of Roundup, and you know that stuff's not healthy. It's as toxic could be. And I don't think even wearing like a mask and wearing blue gloves and all this stuff would protect you from the damaging effects. I still see Roundup commercials now that it's spring. Yeah, Bonnie, not just commercials. I was just at Lowe's this morning picking up some plants that we're going to put in our garden. And yeah, Roundup. They had gobs and gobs of it. And I was just trying to keep from breathing in anything. George says Monsanto has genetically modified seeds, corn specifically, to make it insect resistant. GMOs upset the gut flora and cause leaky gut, which is inflammation. Check out the research. Yeah, George, I'm only scratching the surface of all the dastardly deeds that comes from the evil Monsanto, focusing in on just the glyphosate that's in Roundup. But you're right. They are the biggest culprit in genetically modifying a lot of the food supply as well, which has negative health effects. Alberto said they have 2 facilities in Puerto Rico called Bayer Crop Science. Bayer knows what grains and high sugar is doing to us. They sell ketone strips and glucose monitors as well. Yeah, they do. So they want you to, whether you're healthy or not healthy, they don't care. They just want your money. They combine a particular worm DNA with the plant's DNA to make it resistant to Roundup. And then they test the seed in their crops. If it grows, then they start testing. Not all seeds will grow, says Alberto. The plants that survive are artificially bred to continue with the testing. It's pretty disgusting what they're doing. Kitty Caddick, I'm so happy my neighbors don't garden or plant anything. No Roundup leaking into my garden. landscaping, fabric, mulch on top, almost no weeds at all. Yeah, there's definitely ways to control the weed production without having to spray a toxic chemical. Keto Cricket, we always use 2,4-D in our yard. Our garden, we never use anything because the kids would eat the fruit. I need to look at what 2,4-D has in it. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that brand, but look for the active ingredient glyphosate. Yeah, it's in a lot of these kind of products. All right, I'm going to come over here, you guys, over to Facebook Live. Thank you guys for being here as well. Hello. Thanks for being here. Spring fever has gardening happening tomorrow, says Louise. Yes. Yeah, I've got some things I got to get done. I'm on a book deadline right now, but I need to get that done. And then, yeah, I've got some things to do. I got some more mulch. So, yeah, I've got things to do. I don't use RoundUp. Haven't used it in 20 years, says Carla. White vinegar and some blue dish soap. What's that, like Dawn? Will kill your weeds fast, says Pamela. Good to know. White vinegar and Dawn. That's pretty cool. Dish soap is bad for the ground environment, says Carla. Yeah. Hey, Mike. What's up, buddy? Always looking out for everybody, man. That's kind of what we try to do on this show. Monsanto, Carla says, is a horrible company. They're behind so many poisons that are in the carpets. 29 years ago, they were warning signs in our brand new home about all of these chemicals that they use in the carpet dye. They're now behind the GMOs, especially corn. Somebody on Instagram mentioned that. And what's fascinating is a lot of the chemicals that are being promulgated by Monsanto are actually banned in Europe. So there's a lot of even like food ingredients that we have here in America, additives and preservatives and colorings and all this, that if you go to Europe, they're banned. So Europe may have their issues, but in some ways they definitely have it nailed that we haven't figured it out here in America yet. Carla says the government needs to ban RoundUp. I think so. I think we have enough evidence from these jury trials that have come out and the evidence that they presented about glyphosate that's in RoundUp that there's no reason why it should still be on the market. Only 3 people watching. I hope more watch it on replay. Oh, there's a bunch of people watching. I promise you, this is going on YouTube. It's all over Facebook, and you guys can definitely share it on pages all over Facebook. It'll get watched a lot on replay, I promise you, Carla. Even if you don't use it, it's now in the soil and the groundwater from so many years of people using it. I can smell it when my neighbors are using it. Yeah, and just that smell could make you sick. Yo, Bear, thumbs down, says Frank. People need to know their landscapers may be using this. Yeah, if you hire a landscaper, tell them do not use RoundUp. Yeah, it's impacting the world, sea life, bees, etc., says Frank. Liana Katerina Capucci has some non-toxic herbicides information, he says, I believe. So go look her up. Liana Katerina Capucci, last name Cappucci. Thank you for that, Frank. Appreciate that. Val says use a better dish soap or liquid soap. Dr. Bonner's or Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day, maybe instead of the blue stuff. Yeah. All right, guys. So again, the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants, are you still using RoundUp? And I know this is a little bit off of like the beaten path of what I talk about typically here on Jimmy Rants with nutritional health, but this is related to your nutrition as well, because these chemicals, glyphosate specifically, are getting into the food supply. And you probably have consumed some without you even knowing it. And I would love to see if they could do a test. I'm sure it's like a blood toxicity test, and they actually physically see glyphosate. I'd love to see a study of this where they look and try to find levels of glyphosate that's in the blood of people just randomly, and obviously in farming areas, use them as one control group, do another group that they're out in the boonies, nowhere near any farming practices that would have this. I would love to see a study like that, because I think that could reveal quite a bit, and this could bring Monsanto to its knees. I would so love to see that. But right now, they're just laughing at this. This is not harming them, not in the least. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, if you want to engage in the content, go follow me on JimmyRants.com. You'll see that we start live here on Instagram. We also simulcast on Facebook. So go follow me on those. I'm at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. Here on Instagram, you can watch it for up to 24 hours. Here on Facebook, share, you guys, because it is available to watch once it's over. But if you happen to miss any of the past episodes, pop on over to YouTube, type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. You can also go to youtube.com/ what else? Livin' Low Carb Man. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. So Instagram, until next time, we'll see you then.